Alright, today we'll be going over trig functions. So there are three basic trig functions that you should know. Sine, cosine, and tangent. And these are their abbreviations here, and that's what they'll look like on a calculator or if you put them into a function. This is what you'll use most often. So if you look at the three parts of the triangle, uh, and this is your reference angle here that you're using, right, that you're taking these trig functions of. This is the adjacent. It's right next to and touching this angle here and this opposite side, which is, as you could tell, opposite of the angle. The hypotenuse is always going to be the longest side of any triangle, so that's always going to be common no matter which angle you use, either this corner or this corner. That's always going to stay the same. The only thing that might change is opposite and adjacent. Just think of adjacent as the close side and opposite as the far side. Pretty self-explanatory. One easy way to remember how all of these work and what they do is SOHCAHTOA. So sine represents opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So most of the time, you're probably going to use sine and cosine for trying to find either a side, an angle, or some other length that you would need to calculate your hypotenuse. And these are what you use to relate these two sides together, and that's more important in later math. But for the most part, you're probably going to use sine and cosine, and how you use these are you would put the angle in here, right? And that represents this opposite over hypotenuse. So if you put that into an equation like this, you'll kind of get this sine curve, is what this is called, where it goes up and then down and then up again. So this is different as opposed to many other functions that you've seen in your life that would go up and then just continue going up, such as like x squared or x. Those will continue going a certain way. Whereas these sine functions, sine and cosine, are limited to their amplitude, which we'll go over in a different video sometime. But essentially, it'll stay within this range and go up and down in the same curve for infinity. The same thing is true of cosine. And as you can see with the side-by-side, they're the same curve, they're just offset. So let's say I add a pi here. Well, that makes them opposite. And then pi over 4 moves them closer. Yeah, that's essentially how they work. They're just offset by a small factor, but they're the same kind of curve. Tangent is way different, as you can tell. It goes way up and then restarts here. It looks kind of like an x cubed graph that's repeated over and over. The reason it looks this way is because when you use tangent, your sides are going to end up going all the way, getting closer and closer to infinity, and then they're going to reset all the way down to the very bottom. And then it'll reset right here at every interval of pi. As you can see, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi. And generally, that's in what's called radians, which you'll learn about later on. But for the most part, you'll just input degrees into these functions. I'll show you how to use these in an examples video. But for now, that's the basics of how these work. And I will also be going over common angles that you will just be able to know. They're called special triangles in another video. So yeah, thanks for watching.